Do you have trouble resisting that block of chocolate?
1 year ago, Maggie Slessor was 4 dress sizes bigger. Like many people, she had a weakness for all things sweet.
The technique's based on acupuncture, but instead of needles, you tap a pressure point with 2 fingers. It's already gained a cult following in some celebrity circles. Most famously, Whoopi Goldberg claims she used it to cure her decade-long phobia of flying.
I just feel like I got a huge amount from it.
Hey everyone, welcome to Thursday Therapy. The question we're answering today is about tapping.
The whole world.
Hey guys, welcome to Thursday Therapy. It's Glenn Mackintosh, the weight psych. Guys, thank you for all of your tapping questions. I get asked tapping questions all the time, and when I put it out there that I wanted one for Thursday Therapy, I got lots. So I'm actually going to answer 3 of them. I'm going to take you through Tapping for Weight Management 101. We're going to look first at what is tapping, then we're going to look at some of the research on tapping and what you can use it for. So let's get started. The first question comes from Kat. Kat asks, what is tapping and how can we use it to stop food cravings and help with weight? I'm 19 months post sleeve surgery, my restriction is slowing, and I think I need to start using a variety of strategies. Great question, Kat, and we're actually just completing a trial of tapping for post-bariatric surgery patients, so watch this space on that one. Tapping is also called emotional freedom techniques, psychological acupuncture, or EFT for short. And to answer your question about what it is, it's a unique exercise combining focusing on a problem with tapping on acupressure points. We'll provide a link to the EFT universe so you can learn a lot more about tapping, and even if you go to our website, we've got a lot more details on the actual tapping technique, and Peter can take you through the whole tapping process so you understand a bit more about it. But basically you think about it as focusing on a problem and then tapping on acupressure points to release that problem. So how we use it for food cravings is someone comes into my session and they bring one of their usual suspects, either chocolate or chips or lollies or cake, whatever it is. And what we do is we focus on all of the elements of that problem. It might be beliefs around the food, memories around the food, it might be the taste and texture, it could be the type of emotions that it makes them feel or the type of emotions that they're dealing with to eat that food. All of these elements which would typically raise the craving, and then we tap on these series of acupressure points and the person can just feel the craving release then and there. It's really freaky. Tapping is the newest of my therapies. I've only been doing it for about 3 or 4 years, and it'd be only the last few months that I've stopped being surprised with how well it works. It works with almost everyone, and it's actually not dependent on the placebo effect. So if you're willing to give it a go, often you'll be surprised with the results. So how does tapping work then? Well, to be honest, I'm not an expert on the Chinese medicine side of things. I don't know too much about balancing out your energy flow or your meridians. But what makes sense to me as a Western trained practitioner is that we actually know that tapping has certain effects on your brain and reducing the reward and pleasure center activation when you are exposed to these foods. So we've actually done up a little animation a while ago to help you understand this, and we're going to include that now so you can see how tapping works.
Inside our brain, we have a part called the amygdala, which is about the size and shape of an almond. This little part of our brain is really important as it allows us to sense threats and sets off our important fight or flight mechanism. Luckily these days, we don't get chased by saber-toothed tigers. Our stresses are more likely to be chronic lower level stresses like work issues, time pressure, or family life. While short bursts of amygdala activation help us when we're in real physical danger, our amygdala does not work as well when it's constantly firing. We experience a range of uncomfortable emotions, we can't think as clearly, and as a result, we don't make the best choices. Amazingly, the tapping technique has been shown in laboratory brain scans to send a calming signal to the amygdala, and this is why when you tap, you end up feeling calmer. When the fog of amygdala activation lifts, you can also think more clearly and make better choices about everything. Interestingly, the tricky amygdala also plays a central role in our reward and pleasure pathway. It's a vital part of our brain's addiction center. So when you see a chocolate, drive past your favourite takeaway, or it turns wine time, your amygdala lights up. Fortunately, as tapping calms your amygdala, it also powerfully reduces food and drink cravings. This often means you don't end up feeling like eating or drinking those foods and drinks at all after you tap. But the coolest thing is, the tapping actually deactivates the amygdala. So when you are exposed to the cues that would normally excite it, it remains in a calm state. Groundbreaking university trials found tapping for food cravings worked better than CBT, as the reduction in food cravings lasted longer. In fact, a year following tapping therapy, many people in the trials actually forgot their most craved foods and no longer ate them at all. Through normalising the activation of the amygdala, tappers feel better, make better choices about eating, drinking, and physical activity, and as a result, end up weighing less without any harmful dieting.
So now you know a little bit more about how tapping works. It leads really well into our next question from Loretta, who asks, is there research stating that it actually works? Great question, Loretta. We did touch a little bit on the research in the animation, but I want to talk to you about it in more detail because the research is actually how I got into tapping. So for years, people have been saying to me, Glenn, you have to try tapping. And I've been giving them the polite response. I've been saying, look, it sounds really interesting, but as of yet, there's no research to show that it works in my area of weight management. And in my mind, I'd probably be thinking, well, that's a bit of a weird technique, as a lot of people do. It's quite a novel type of intervention. But then I read Peter's research trial, and it was the first research trial on tapping for food cravings, and the results were quite amazing. Firstly, what we found was a reduction in food cravings, and that reduction in food cravings lasted at least a year after therapy, so that was pretty cool. Secondly, people felt better, which is really cool. Thirdly, which is really important for my work, people felt like they had more willpower. So they felt as if they were more in charge of food choices rather than food being in control of them. And we also saw some weight loss, but there were some really interesting things we saw about weight loss. Most weight loss programs, and we've talked about this before, show this Nike swoosh of weight loss where the weight goes down and then comes back up, often with interest. But in Peter's trial, it was a short month-long trial where people came for 4 two-hour sessions, and they lost just a little bit of weight over the course of that trial period. But then when we measured them at 6 months, they actually lost more weight, which is really interesting. That's unlike most programs which show weight regain shortly after the treatment finishes. But then at a year, they'd actually lost more weight. The average person had lost 5.5 kilograms. And that's quite exciting because to get significant weight reduction with just that treatment, the people in the trial were asked not to do any other weight management treatments. So it's pretty much just about the tapping. That's pretty cool. But when I see weight loss, a little part of my amygdala kind of goes off and I worry whether people are becoming more dieting. We know, we've talked about this before as well, that when we get diety, it leads to a whole bunch of problems, including weight regain later on. But what this trial showed is that people actually become less diety. So the results of this study were just amazing to me. What's even more amazing to me is that Peter and I got together and developed an online version of tapping for weight management. And we've ran a clinical trial with over 600 members worldwide. And we found that we can get the same results through online tapping. So you can do tapping at home and get all of these benefits yourself. So what can you use tapping for apart from food cravings? Let me answer the next question and we can talk about all of the areas that you can use tapping for to help you free yourself from weight management issues. Joe asks, I only like certain veggies, only a few, and I'd like to introduce more variety into my veggies. I know how to fix cravings, but can we use tapping to add veggies we don't like? Awesome question, Joe. People know that tapping can be super powerful for food cravings, but what we're finding in our latest research is that it can be actually used for almost every area of weight management. So what I want to do is, I want to talk you through the tapping topics that we use in our online program, because obviously in our online program we've chosen the most relevant areas, and that way you can see what areas you can apply tapping to. But I also want to talk you through our online program because we've got our first group that's not part of a trial. So the first group that you can join, we're calling it Tap Your Way into Summer, and it starts on October the 10th. So let me talk you through what we do in the tapping program. And that way you can understand how you use tapping for yourself and you can understand the benefits of the program that you can join along and tap with us. We start off with doing an intro to EFT, and we actually find that in our programs there are a lot of people who already know a bit about EFT, but still learning from Peter, who's one of the world's leading experts. People still pick things up. Then we get into tapping on food cravings, which everyone knows is probably the most powerful part of tapping. Then we get into tapping into more fruit and veggies. So yes, Joe, we can use it for more fruit and veggies. And we actually find that people who eat more fruit and veggies tend to naturally eat less of the other stuff anyway. Following that, we do a 2-week course on tapping around emotions. Some research suggests that up to 70% of our extra eating is due to emotions. So we go through the whole range of emotions and tap our way through those so you don't have to eat your way through them. Then we get into tapping for physical activity. This is one of my favorites as a sport and exercise psychologist, and we help you tapping away all the barriers to you being regularly physically active. We then move on to tapping for drinks, so tea, coffee, alcohol, water. Some of these things can go under the radar, but we actually find that a lot of people in our clinical trial find this super and surprisingly useful. And then we finish off on tapping into mindful eating. We've spoken about mindful eating before, and it is really closely linked with long-term success with weight management. So we help you tap away any barriers to mindful eating. So these are some of the things that you can use tapping for, and I'd really love to extend to you a special offer to join our Tap Into Summer program. If you're in the Northern Hemisphere, you can tap into winter, that's just fine. We'd love you to join us. It really does mimic our online trial that we've done, and there's so many bonuses. You get tapping scripts so you can do extra tapping, dozens and dozens of videos for you to tap along with. Plus, Peter and myself do extra support through our closed Facebook group, so you can ask us a whole bunch of questions. And as usual, I want to give my Thursday therapy people a discount. So if you want to join up for that program, and we would love to have you, use code GMACK, G-M-A-C-K, for 10% off, and we'll see you tapping your way into summer. Guys, thank you for paying attention to Thursday Therapy. I hope that it's helped you walk a little bit of the journey that I've walked into understanding the research and the power behind this really amazing technique. And I also want to ask one more thing from you. We're so close to our 500 subscribers. So if you see anyone that you know that you can tag or share this video with, we'd really love to get over that 500 subscribers mark. And of course, if you haven't subscribed already, subscribe for regular Thursday therapy with me. And until I see you at our next session, happy tapping. Hey guys, quickly before we finish up, we've just realised that it's Peter Stapleton's birthday, so we wanted to say happy birthday, Peter. Peter is someone that I consider a mentor and a colleague and a friend. I'm so thankful that she took tapping for weight management into the research space because it's the reason why myself and a lot of other evidence-based practitioners are starting to see the power of it. And she's a beautiful example of tapping in real life. I know that Peter taps a lot, and I'm sure it's helped her become the most amazing, inspiring, effective, awesome, friendly legend that she is. So we just wanted to say happy birthday, or more precisely, we wanted to sing you happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Peter. Happy birthday to you. Hip hip. Hip hip. Hip hip. Happy birthday, Peter, from all of us at WMP.